this video, we will set up a Telegram bot. We open Chrome, note the URL, enter your phone number and click on Next. We will receive a code in our phone. We enter the code here. This is a brand new Telegram account. We can also see the code sent to us here. The next step, we need bot further that we use to create bots. Add bot further in our Telegram account. We navigate to t.me/bot further. It opens page that says bot further is a bot to rule them all. Use it to create new bots accounts and manage your existing bots. Click on Open in Web. We need to explicitly opt in the bot by clicking Start button. And we are in. We see a set of commands that bot further uses to create and manage bots. We can also click on icon below here to see all the commands. To create a new bot, we can click on New Bot command. We could type it out. Then we need to give the bot a name. Call it Teleweather. Next, we need to choose a username for the bot. This is a unique name that must end with a bot. You can choose to use camel-case or snake naming formats. This unique name can be difficult to find, so let's try our luck. We try Teleweather bot, and it's taken. Let's try Weather Now. Needs to end with a bot. Let's try something different. How about Weather XYZ bot? And voila, it's available. Important thing to note here is the access token we'll use to make API calls to this bot. So we get a link to the API documentation. In the next video, we will look at the documentation. We can go back to the bot further, and we can manage the bot we have created using my bots command. And we click on the bot to manage. Have option to change bot like token. We can also edit the name we had put on earlier. We can edit name, type a different name, whether XYZ, and it's pretty easy. That's how we set bot. So see you in the next video. We navigate to URL t.me/weather XYZ bot, the username of the web of the bot, which is the unique identifier. We get a brief description of the bot here. Then click on the Open in Web. The next thing is to click on the Start button that will join us in the bot. This automatically sends a start command, and in the later video we will see how to take advantage of that behavior. Now let's open the Telegram API online documentation. We navigate to core.telegram.org/bots/API. Here we get the recent changes that have been made to the bot API, and down here we get how we can invoke Telegram command. The important thing to note here is how we structure the URL. Notice api.telegram.org/bot. Then we concatenate that with the token, then the method name. The token is what the server uses to identify our bot, and the method are different resources that can be invoked in the server. Let's try getMe method, which returns the information about the bot, and we get a JSON response with the information of the bot. Let's try a different method that will return a list of all messages sent to our bot. We use getUpdates method name. Here we get a JSON with a list of all the messages sent into our bot. We can see the last one is the /start. Remember that we joined the start. When we joined, the start was automatically sent. Let us send a different message, hello world, and let's refresh the URL here. We can see that the last message text hello world here. Thank you. In the next one, we will use Python instead of the web browser to pull this information. Hi, in the last video, we used the browser to make API calls to the Telegram server. In this video, we are going to do exactly that, but using Python shell. Let's open up terminal. The first thing is make sure you have requests, which is a third-party library installed. So pip install requests. I've already installed. Then we open the shell. We need to import requests. I will import pretty print that will format our JSON nicely. It make it easier for us to read. So let's say from pretty print pprint import pprint. Let's get this URL here. Let's paste it to the URL. Then let's make a get request to this URL. So I'll say response is equals to request.get the URL. This will make a network call. Get 200 status, so it was successful. And also, let me maximize this. We get the JSON. Let's say response.json. This is the JSON response from the server. I'm going to try to print this one so that it will be legible for us. Right now it's not legible, so I will say pprint. I will wrap up this in a pprint function. And now it's much readable. So let's look at the structure of this response. We have a dictionary response, and inside this dictionary we have two items. We have the OK, I key true, and then we have a result. These results contain a list of all the messages, and each message is a dictionary with two keys, that message and update ID. And for a message, it contains a dictionary with all this information about chat, dates, entities, from, message, text. Let me grab the text from this input and print the text messages for all these messages. The first thing, I'm going to grab this list from results, which we're going to iterate over. So for message, msg in response the JSON, because this is a dictionary, we grab results. This will give us a list, this list containing dictionaries. Then we need to grab the message for each dictionary message. So we'll say msg grab the message. This will give us the message dictionary for each message is here. Now from this dictionary we need to get the text. So we come here and say and grab the text. So this should print all the messages we've received from this port. And there you go. We see the hello world, which was the last message. Of course, we can use request to make API calls, but here we will do a lot of work. In the next video, I'll show you a third-party package, and the package is a wrapper around Telegram API, and it makes our life really simple. So see you in the next video. Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're going to look at that third-party package that we're going to use to make Telegram API calls. So let's open up our browser, and we are going to Google Python Telegram bot. The first result here is what we want, Python Telegram bot. It takes us to GitHub project, and here we have made you a wrapper that you can use, which is true. So here we get a brief description of the project, which is kind of nice. So let's begin using this amazing tool. So I'm going to come here at the desktop, create a folder, and I'll name it project. Then I'm going to open a terminal and cd and change directly into this project folder. So I'll cd, drag and drop, and the first thing I want to do is to create a virtual environment. So I'll do virtual env, the name of virtual environment, I'll call it env. This will create an isolated environment for this specific project. Then we need to activate the environment source env being activated. Now we have this env into kind of bracket to show that the environment is activated. The next thing is to install this package. Down here under installing section, we'll copy this pip install Telegram bot, which is gonna install this package for us. So I'm going to paste, and it's installed. So let's open the Python shell and import Telegram, which is the package. So the first thing is to create an instance of the bot, and to do that we do bot, assign it to telegram.bot, and we will pass here a token which will be used to instantiate the bot, and the token, it's our bot token. So I'm going to copy that here, copy, come here, paste. Now we have our bot instance. So to invoke the method, all we need to do is print, I'd say bot. If I want to get information about this bot, I'll call a function of bot get underscore me. Notice the naming convention, it's a method name, but here we are using the bot instance. So I hit enter and we see the information about this bot. Let's print all the messages for the bot. So here we're going to use get updates, remember from the previous videos. So it will be for msg in bot.get updates. This will return a list of objects, of message object, so message. So we need to access the message property, message, and from the message we need to the text. Let's say need to print off, and there we get all the messages sent to the bot. And you can see it's pretty easy to work with this package. From now henceforth we will basically use this app. It has a lot than just whatever we have done. In the next session we are going to set up an IDE, because up to now we've been using Python shell, which is good to experiment things, but obviously it's more convenience to use IDE. See you in the next tutorial. Hi, in this part we're going to install IDE. So you are free to use any IDE that you're comfortable with. In my case I'll be using PyCharm, and to get PyCharm we just Google PyCharm, and the first we click on the first result, then we hit the big download button, download now. And PyCharm come in two flavors. We have the professional and community. Professional is not free, but you get like 1 month trial, and we have the community version, which is completely free to use. So to download we just hit the big download button, and this will begin the download. I'll pause this because I already downloaded it. Okay, I'll stop, cancel, and after the download the installation is quite straightforward. So all we have to do is drag PyCharm to application, copy, and give it a minute to copy. So let's open PyCharm. It will prompt you that PyCharm is an application. Are you sure you want to click on open? I set statistics, you can send. And now I want to open this project using PyCharm. So I'll click on open, desktop, we choose project, open, and I'll close this. The nice thing I like about PyCharm is that it automatically picks the virtual environment. Down here, terminal, you can see the virtual environment is activated, and if I do pip freeze to check the packages that are already installed, I see that Telegram bot is already installed. This will really help us in this project. And in the next part we'll start having some fun. So I'll see you in the next tutorial. Hi, in this video we are going to learn how to handle Telegram commands. What Telegram command means, it's any word that begins with a /. So if I say start, this is a command which is different from start. This is different from start. So how do we handle commands? Let's open PyCharm And in here, I'm going to create a new file, call it main.py. Remember from the previous videos, this is what we did. We imported Telegram, and we created an instance of Telegram bot, passing in the token. What this does is give us a bot object that we can use to interact with the API. But then what happened when we get message from the bot? The third-party package give us some utilities and tools to make that easier. So instead of using this instance, I'll come here and say from telegram.ext import updater, and I'll create an instance of updater, and I need to pass in the token which I'll get from bot the father. So copy this and paste it here. So the work of an updater is to check for new messages from the API. So it will do the pouring to check if there is any new message. What will happen when the updater gets a message or a command? So we need a way of handling that message. For each updater, we have a dispatcher, which is a property of updater. So what dispatcher does, it allows us to register handlers. And these handlers can be different types of handlers, starting with the command handler, message handler, or text handler, video, audio, etc. So now that we have the dispatcher, how do we create the handler? So in here we are going to create a command handler, and to do this is easy. We have a class called command handler already provided for us. All we have to do is instantiate the class. We assign it a variable. I'll call this start handler command, and this takes at least two values. The first one is the command itself, start, and the second one is a callback function. So we need to define a callback function. So here we will define a command callback function, and I'll call this start, which takes in two arguments. The first one is the bot instance that we can use to interact with the API, and the other one is the instance of the message itself. And from the message instance or object, we can pull out information about message ID, and so on. Now we want every time we receive a start button to set back a message. So we are going to use the bot, and then use the set message function, which takes in two values. First is the chat ID, and to get the chat ID, we'll get it from the message object pass to us. So I'll say update.message.chatID. The next value is the text, which is basically what we want to reply to the command. So here I'll say hello, welcome to weather XYZ. Just here we need to pass in the start function as the second parameter to the command handler. So I'll pass it there. Now we have our command handler ready. So how do we wire the command handler to the dispatcher so that every time we receive a start command, the command handler function gets fired up? And to do that, it's easy. Here we'll say register add command handler to dispatcher. So I'll say dispatcher dot and handler, and I'll pass start handler as the value. Finally, we need to start the bot, start pouring, and this will start checking out for new messages. So I'll say updater dot start pouring, and that's it. So let's run the script. I'll say python main.py, and I'll go to the bot, and this time you can see the response from the previous start message. Let's try this again. Start, and we get response. This is really cool. If I try start without the /, which means it's not a command, of course we'll get nothing, because to Telegram this is not a command, it's a text message. So in the next video we'll learn how to handle text. Thank you. In this video we're going to learn how to handle text message to be specific, and this is almost similar to what we did with command handler. Just as we did, we're going to define a callback function that will get called each and every time we receive the text message, and I'll call this message echo because I want it to echo back whatever message text it's received. So bot update, then bot.send message, and chat ID, it's from update.message.chat ID, and text. This text will get it from the update, so to the update.message.text. So what this function will do, it will send back whatever text message it received. So the next step is to create a message handler. So I'll create a text message to be specific handler, and I'll call this echo handler. And we have a class for handling messages. We import message handler. So I'll say message handler. This will take in two values. The first value is the filter. So I need to import filters. So what filters does, it filters the media type, and from the list here we can see we have text, all audio, chat, documents. So if you want to handle only documents, this is where we can specify whether we want pictures, photos, but for this example we want text. So I'll say text, and the next value is the callback function echo. Finally, we need to register this message handler to the dispatcher. So dispatcher.end handler, then we register echo handler, and that's it. So let's run the script, Python main, and I'll send the message hello world, and we get hello world back. So let's try something different, like making the text we received uppercase. So I'll go here, we are getting the text message and put.upper function. Upper will act on strings and will make all the string caps. So I'm gonna kill this one and start it again. Let's test again. This time hello world, and we get caps, and that's it. So see you in the next video. In this video we are going to learn keyboard button. We have two main processes. One is to define how the keyboard button will look in our bot. Second is to handle what will happen when someone click on the button. So let's define some keyboard button, and to do this I'm going to use command. This command, when somebody enters the command in the bot, the reply they will get will be keyboard button. So to do that, I'm going to import two things. So from Telegram, I'm going to import inline keyboard button and inline keyboard markup. So I'll create a command handler. So let's begin by creating a callback function. I'll call it options, which takes in bot and update, and here we are going to define our keyboard button. So to create a keyboard button, I'll call it button. It's just a list of inline keyboard button objects. So the way we arrange buttons, it's using a list. So if I want the first row to have two keyboard button, I'll have inline keyboard button, and the first argument will be the text to be displayed on the button. You'll see option 1, and callback data. This is the data that will be sent to the callback when somebody presses the option 1 button. I'll say 1. And now because in this row I want to have 2 buttons, so in the first list I'm going to define 2 buttons. So inline button option 2 callback data 2. So in the next row I only want to have one button, so I'll have a list with only one button, one inline button with option 3 and callback data, I can say 3. So the next thing we need is to create a reply markup. And reply markup, we will use inline keyboard markup to generate reply markup. So inline keyboard markup, and here we will pass this object, this list object button. This will be responsible for rendering this button to appear in the bot. So I'll pass that button, and from here we need to send message to the bot with chat ID from update.message.chatid, and then we need text. We can say choose one option, and to display the button all we have to do is specify reply markup in the send message function and set the reply markup to the reply markup up here, and it's that simple. All we have to do now is to create a command handler. I'll call this option handler, and to be a command handler option, and the callback function will be option. Finally is to register this to the dispatcher, add handler option handler. So let's run this Python main, and I'll type in the command option, and we get the button. And you can see we have 2 buttons in the first row and 1 button in the second row. That's because we defined the outer list and the inner list. The first list have 2 buttons and the second list have 1 button. That's possible for that arrangement. So the next thing is, what will happen when I click this button? Nothing. And this because we haven't defined the what will happen, or the callback functionality of this button. So let's do that. So down here I'm going to create a callback function, call it button, that will take in both and update. Here we will get the update object we'll get here. It's different from the update object we get from, say, a message handler or a command handler. This update will be a callback object from the button. When we click this button, we'll get a callback object. So to get data from the callback object, we have to say query, I'll call it query, is equals to update dot callback query, so that I'll grab the data from the callback object. Then all I have to do is but I'll print out the choice. Remember, we have 3 choices, 1, 2, and 3. So chat ID will be update.message.chatid, and then the text will be thanks for choosing, and then the query back.data, and that will be one of these depending on what the user will click. Now that we have the callback function, and now we need to register this callback function, so that every time a user clicks on the button, this function get called. So I'll call this button handler, and this is not going to be a command or a message handler. For a button, we have a special type of handler code called callback query handler. So that's what we are going to use, callback query handler. And the only value we need to pass is the function without the parenthesis, and we need to register this to the dispatcher. So dispatch dot and handler button handler. So there you go. Let's kill this one and start it again. So let's start this again, Python main, and this time type in option. We get the keyboard. When I click option, okay, here we need to use query, not the updates. Remember, the update object here will be a callback object, so we need to get a callback query, so we need to use query. So I'm going to kill that one and run again, and options. And now we get thank you for choosing option 1, and thank you for choosing option 2, thanks for choosing option 3. Now this keyboard we see sticks here. It's desirable when I click an option that this button just disappears, and then we don't have to click on that multiple times. And to do that, we need to, instead of sending a message, we need to edit this message. Instead of using this send message, I'm going to use edit message text, and this will edit the message text. To use this function, we need to pass an additional value of the message ID that we need to edit, and we'll get this message ID from the query. So query.message.message ID, message ID. Then I can code the format. And now what happened is that when we click the button, the button will get replaced by this message. So let's see that in action. So I'm going to kill that and start that again. Come here, say option. We have the keyboard. When I click the option 1, it's gone. We get thank you for choosing option 1, and that's really cool. I mean, it's really usable. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Hi, in this video we are going to look into share location button, which works similar to share contact button. So like we did in the previous video, I'm going to define a command that will display the button. So I'll call a function. I'll create a function called get location, which you take in both, and update. And to create a contact button, we need to import two things. So from Telegram, import keyboard button and deploy markup, keyboard markup, which is different from inline keyboard button, what we have used previously. So let's create a button which is simply a list that contains an instance of keyboard button, and the first argument is the text. We'll call this share location. The second argument will be whether this button should be a share location or a share contact button. We specify that this is going to be a location button. We use request location. Take notice that you can use request contact for contact, and we say this to true. The next thing is to create reply markup, which we will use reply keyboard markup to create reply keyboard markup, and we pass the button. Then bot.setMessage chat ID, which is going to be update.message chat ID, and the text, I have a typo there, update, and the message will be mind sharing location, and the reply markup will be the reply markup. So the next thing is to create a handler. So get location handler, and this is going to be a command handler call it location. Then the function, when the function will be get location, then we add handler to the dispatcher, get handler. So let's test this. Python main and location. And here we get the mind sharing location, and we get the share location button down here. Now we need to add the functionality for this share location button. And this one we need to create a callback function, update, and this function will get the latitude, which you'll get from update message.location, and the latitude and the longitude we get from update.message.location longitude. Then we send, say, bot.send message, and the first value will be chat ID, which got message.chat ID, and the text, which will be longitude and latitude. And I'll call the format function, so long and lat. So the next step is to create a handler. So we'll call this location handler. This one is going to be a message handler, but the filter, we will specify that we want this to handle location using the filter, and the callback function is location, and we add this to the dispatcher, add handler, location handler. So let's test this. So Python main location, mind sharing your location, click on the button, and now we see longitude and latitude. So let's take care of the share button here. We see we need this share button to go away when we share the location. So to do that, we need to import reply keyboard remove. And what happens is when we reply to this with this longitude and latitude, we want to pass reply markup an object of reply markup remover that will remove this button. So down here we are going to create a reply markup, and we're going to pass an instance of reply keyboard remove. So let's test this. Okay, location, mind sharing location. I'll share the location, and now the button is gone, and that's really cool. See you in the next tutorial. In this video, we are going to focus our attention in creating real world app, and in this part we are going to interact with Open Weather Map API. Open Weather Map. I'll click the .org. This site we have APIs that we can use to get weather forecast of a place. So if you navigate to the API, we have this kind of different types of API. We have the current weather data. We have 5-day weather forecast by 3-hour interval. We have 16 days daily forecast and historical and so forth. So let's look at the API doc. So this is the URL that you can invoke to get weather using the city name. You can see here is an example of London, and we can get by city ID and geographical coordinates using latitude and longitude. And this kind of ties nicely with our previous video of users sharing their current location, which we can get latitude and longitude. So using this API, we can be able to give the user a forecast of based off their location. So if I copy these and paste this into and we get a invalid API. So this means that we need authentication. And for us to use this API, we will require an API key. So to get an API key, we need to sign up. So up here, we need to sign up and choose a username and email at gmail.com. So I need to choose a password. Repeat that again. Choose your older than 16 and agree to the policy and click the caption, create account. Okay, and this will ask for the company name. I'll just type in my username. Purpose for education, I guess, not sure. Save. And now under API keys, we have the API key. Note the message up here. Activation of an API key is free and startup account take 10 minutes. So that means for this key to work, we have to wait around 10 minutes. How do we use this key? What we need to do is we need to append the app ID. We add an ampersand app ID, then we paste the API key. This still does not work because we have to wait for 10 minutes. Hopefully this will work after 10 minutes. Thank you. See you in the next one. Hi. In this video, we're going to look at Open Weather Map API wrapper. But before that, let us test the API endpoint with the API key. This is after waiting for 10 minutes, and we expect this to work. So if I refresh, I need to append the key, ampersand, the key, and here we get the response with the coordinate, longitude and latitude, and weather. Main lane, we get the description, light intensity, showering, icon, temperature, pressure, humidity, minimum temperature, maximum temperature, visibility, speed, crowds, and all this information. This is really nice. But working with this API, it will mean us handling this JSON in our code. And the good thing about Python is that we have a wrapper created a third-party package around this API. So I'm going to open up Google and search for Py Open Weather Map OWM, and we click on the first result, and here we get a Python wrapper allowed Open Weather Map Web API and some doc. And this is really nice package. Here we get the installation and some example. So here, let's play around with this wrapper. So I'm going to open up terminal and navigate to our project directory, activate source in bin, activate the virtual environment, and the first thing is to install this package, pip install, by Open Weather Map. That's installed. I'm going to clear and then open Python shell. So the first thing is to import by Open Weather Map and create an instance by Open Weather Map. We need to pass in the API key, and I'll copy the API key from this URL here and paste that here. So the next thing, I'll create observation object, and this one I'll create from Open Weather Map dot weather at underscore place, and here I can specify the name of the city. Let's try Radon. And from this object we can get weather by saying w is equals to observation dot get weather, and from this I can print this an object with the time, status, cloud. So from this weather object we can get like wind, and we can get humidity, DT, and we can get temperature. And here we get temperature, and we can specify that we want temperature in Celsius. and we get the maximum temperature, the minimum temperature, and the average temperature, I guess. Yeah, so this lapper make our life really simple. So in the next video, we are going to use this lapper to get weather forecast from latitude and longitude, and see you in the next video. We're going to write our code to retrieve weather forecast and using the 3-hour interval. So I'm going to open up the IDE where we left, and I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it weather.py, and from py open weather map, I'm going to import open weather map and create an instance of open weather map using OWM caps, and here I'm going to pass in the key, the API key, and I'll copy that one from this URL here, copy and paste. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to create a function, def get forecast that's going to take in latitude and longitude. And first thing is to create observation, which I'll create from OWM, and the function I'm going to use is 3-hour forecast at coordinate, because we want to get the forecast using latitude and longitude. And the first parameter is the latitude, longitude followed by longitude. Now from here we can get the forecast from observation.get forecast. So before we look through the forecast, I'll get the location from the forecast. Location from the forecast, get location, and from the location object, it's supposed to be, and from the location object we can get the location name, and this location name is the location name for the longitude and the latitude, and I'll say location dot get name, and then we can also get the location lat from the API, so that will be location dot get lat, and then location longitude be location from get long. Now we can look through the forecast. So for forecast single in forecast plural. So what we want to get for each forecast is, one is the time for the forecast, and this one will be forecast single dot get reference time, and I want it in an ISO format to make it legible. Then we want to get the status, whether it's raining, clear, sunny, or so it will be forecast to get status, and then we want to get the details of the status. This, whether if it's rain, whether it's light rain, heavy storm, or whatever. So forecast dot get detailed status. So the next thing I'll get is the temperature, and get temperature, and this is going to return a dictionary with the maximum, minimum, and the average temperature. So to get the average temperature, it will be temperature is equals to temperature dot get temperature. This is the key of the temperature from the dictionary here. So minimum temperature will be temperature dot get from the dictionary temp min, and the same for maximum temperature is temperature dot get temperature max. So now that we have all this information about the forecast, so what I want to do is to create a result list And every time we loop through the forecast, single forecast, I want to append a string with all this information. So I'll create a list with 3 quotes, and the first thing I want to print is location. It's going to be the name and the latitude and the longitude, and I'll use the dot format method and pass in the location name, latitude, and longitude. So I'll put in the lat now loc name, and then loc latitude and loc longitude. The next thing is the time. I want to know what the time for this forecast, so this is going to be time, and the next will be status, and say status, and then the detailed status, detailed, and then the temperature, pass in here TMP, and the same for mean, temperature. Here we'll pass in TMP mean, underscore mean, and finally the max temperature, I'll pass in the temp max. So for each forecast, 3-hour interval forecast, we will pull out this information: location, time, status. We could add more, like with humidity, but idea is the same. So in the end, I want to return not a list. Remember, for here we are appending a list of strings, so I want to join the list. So I'll do string empty string dot join, and I'll pass the result. But here there is a catch. If we look at the API doc here, we get 5-day forecast with an interval of 3 hours. That means in one day we'll get, one day have 24 hours, so 24 divided by 3, that's 8. So in a single day we'll get 8 forecasts. So 5-day forecast will be 8 times 5, which is 40. So basically the list here will contain 40 items, but Telegram will limit the number of text you can send per message. So I'm going to limit this list to 10, which is also nice to the end user. We don't want to return a whole bunch of information that's going to annoy the end user. So I'll limit the result by 10 using full colon 10. Now I'm going to test this. If name equals main, and what this does, we'll run this statement print, and I'll call this function get forecast, and I'll pass in dummy latitude -1.2 and 36 latitude. So what if name main is equals to main does equals main does? This line here will run only when we learn this in the command line as the main script. But if we import this function, this part will not be called. So it's good for testing. Yeah, it's good for testing purposes. So let's run Python weather to test this, and we get the result. We get the 10 results, and for each result we get the name, the latitude, the longitude, and the time, the date and time, and the status is rain, detail status is light rain, and the temperature. Here we get temperature in, I believe, Kelvin, but I'm used to Celsius, so I'll come here, it's under that, to get temperature and specify I want it in Celsius. So let me run this again, clear, and now I get temperature in Celsius, so it's easy to interpret this. So in the next one, we will we will link this with the previous Telegram code, and to see how these two integrate together. So see you in the next video. Right, we are going to integrate weather and the main, and to do that is an easy task. So I'll open the main.py, and from here I will import from weather. I will import the function get forecast, and down in the function, in the occasion function, where we get latitude and longitude, I'll call the function here and assign its value to forecast, to get forecast, and I'll pass latitude and longitude. Then the response, I will replace this text here with the returned string from the get forecast function. So I'll paste that here and save. Let's test this. Python main. I will open up Telegram and type the command location and share location. Okay, and it works. I get all the 10 records with my current location, latitude, longitude, and the time, status, rain, light rain, temperature, with 3-hour interval. Yeah, this is really exciting. I would want to thank you for taking your time to go through this course. I believe it will help you in your project. I will share this code in a GitHub repo. This the username jackd, and the repo is called Telegram. Here you'll find all the code that we have written in this course. You can reference and use this code. Don't forget to review this course, and bye bye.